Good afternoon, everyone. This is Alvita in our world literature class, and this is my rendition of Phillis Wheatley. I just like to give you a little bit of history on her first, and then I've set up like most of her photos are about her sitting at her desk with her pen because she was a writer and a poet. She always had a tablet and a pen available. But Mrs. Wheatley, Um, my reflection on her is because her story is a very real and true story. Phyllis Wheaters was one. Phyllis Wheatley Peters was one of our best poets in the pre-19th century, which was our Enlightenment period in the United States. He was an educated enslaved and in the house of the prominent Boston commercial John Wheatley. He was, she was, he was her first slave master. Her His wife and children were very kind to Miss Wheatley. Um, Nathaniel was a son, and both he and his sister taught Mrs. Wheatley how to write, how to read, even difficult passages in the Bible, they taught her. So they were a very, very kind family. Um, she spoke many times of being abused, but she related it to her having asthma and them not understanding asthma. But overall, they were very kind to her, and she speaks of how she appreciated how they taught her and trained her. Miss Wheatley went on to become an abolitionist, illustrative testimony that Black people in America are both artistic and intellectual. She wasn't just known for her poetry, she was actually a very prominent figure during slavery times. Um, Miss Wheatley was born in 1753, they believe, in West Africa in parts of Gambia or Senegal, but her original birthplace was never known. She was sold by the local chief of that community to Mr. Wheatley. Mr. Wheatley and his wife, after passing on, she met a young man named John Peters. And Mr. Peters was very nice to Miss Wheatley. She thought he was very, very affectionate toward her. And so she married him. Um, Her primary reason was because he was a freed man. And back then, when you married someone who was free, you became free. So her and John had a very difficult time. He didn't have a whole lot of money. They lost two babies. So um, his money dealing wasn't honest. So he served time in prison. During those times, Ms. Wheatley really had a very difficult time emotionally with the loss of her two children. Um, she describes her life as a little hard, but still free. And um, with the help of the two children of the Wheatleys, she became very successful in reading and writing. Mr. Peters also was a black grocery store owner, so they didn't have to fight for a whole lot of food per se, but they struggled in other areas. Miss Wheatley, um, she wanted to express her quest for poetic inspiration through Christianity, classicism, and hierophantic Scott solar worship. She found a way to speak to the hearts of the present generation and those to come regarding what it was like to be a slave and how Black people in America were treated so poorly because of the color of their skin. And to be separated as a Black person for the most bizarre reasons. For example, she couldn't explain how we couldn't drink from the water fountain or eat at the same restaurant, but we were made to feed their babies from our breast. So it's kind of a conflict, and she tried to write about it in a way that people could understand the pain of being a slavery back then. So, oh, and the really, really cool part was In her writing, she was able to develop her poetry into three stanzas of four lines in iambic tetrameter and followed by a concluding couplet in iambic pentameter. The rhyme scheme is A B A B C C. So we'll hear a little bit of that here in just a second as well. She proved through her writings that Black people could write poetry. She wrote and published over 145 pieces of literature. She became ill and died on December the 5th, 1784, at the age of 31. And here is one of her most renowned poems titled On Being Brought from Africa to America. And this is kind of her stance in most of her pictures. She's leaning toward. She's got her pen in hand. She's got her ink blot here, and she's got her notebook there, and she's just got her hand here thinking, which most writers take on that same um, sitting. But her poem goes a little bit like this. It was mercy that bought me from my pagan land, taught me benighted soul to understand, taught there is a God and there is a Savior too. Once our redemption, neither sought nor knew. Some view our sable race with a scornful eye. Their color is a diabolical dye. Remember Christians, Negroes, blacks as Cain, maybe refine and join the angelic reign. Her poem speaks out of pain, but it also gives a hope that there is a redemption for Black people in America and that God will deliver us someday. Most of us have experienced more than others, more hatred, more racism, more physical violence, emotional violence. But overall, we've been here and God sent us here. And this was the way that Mrs. Wheatley was able to describe her plight here in America. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll leave you with this her favorite pose with pen in her hand, writing. Thank you.